What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Hot Corner Pod. I am your host tonight, Keaton Nanemacher. I wanted to break down a potential fit for the Twins this offseason that I think they should target in the trade market, and that would be first baseman Christian Walker from the Arizona Diamondbacks. And for those of you who do not know much about him, he is a right handed first baseman. He is entering his 32-year-old season, and he is controllable for two more seasons. So keep that in mind. Um, like I said, hits from the right side, power, first baseman. And just to go a little bit more into his background, he was a full-time starter in 2019. Since then, he's racked up a 111 OPS plus with 20 home runs a season, give or take. So he's productive with the bat. Pretty, he'll give you what you expect for the most part. But except for 2022, this last year, he had a huge breakout season. He hit 36 homers, drove in 94 runs, and had a 126 OPS plus. So he's really taken some steps forward since he became a full-time starter. The power's spiked up a little bit. OPS plus is spiked up, so his, on base is getting up there. But yeah, I kind of see him as like a CJ Crone type guy. Although he just broke out, like I said, Baseball Reference gave him a 5.1 WAR, so that's really good for a first baseman. But that's mainly his counting stats. I wanted to go over his Baseball Savant page because it's very impressive. It's very red everywhere you look. So I wanted to start with the batted ball category. In terms of exit velo, he finished in the 69th percentile. In terms of hard hit percentage, he's in the top 72nd percentile. And in terms of barrel percentage, he finished in the top 82nd percentile. So everything this guy hits is loud. Everything he, seems to lace up. It seems to be a solid line drive. I was looking at his highlights earlier. He's got a great launch angle to his swing. So that barrel percentage, really looks nice with that launch angle. And then you go over to his expected stats where, some of the things underneath his hitting don't always show. He finished in the top 92nd percentile in expected WOBA and expected slugging. So in a way, his stats could have been a little better based on his ballpark, the league adjusted stats, that kind of thing. And in terms of walks and strikeouts, he's very above average in walk percentage and chase rate. So he's hard to strike out. He doesn't swing on a lot of crap pitches. He's above league average in K percentage, and he's dead league average, like dead on in whiff percentage. So you put all this together for hitting, and you look at his Savant page, it's just all red. It screams Nelson Cruz. It screams CJ Crone. That's the type of comparison I can give you, Twins fans. And yeah, so now I wanted to move over to his defense because usually for a first baseman, you don't hear a lot of people talk about defense unless you're, Eric Hosmer of the back in the day, or you're Matt Olson, Freddie Freeman, But I think this is pretty insane. So Baseball Savant's number one defensive statistic is outs above average, OAA. And he's ranked in the top 99th percentile, meaning he's in the top 1 to 2% of the entire MLB. And what's even better is he has 17 defensive runs saved last season. 17. So, and that's tied for the sixth most out of all MLB positions last year. So that's all 9 positions. Since 2021, he's tied for the seventh most. And since 2019, when he became a full-time starter, he's tied for 14th most defensive runs saved. This is great. This is like you don't see this under the radar first basemen like this with these types of skills that just fly under the radar. Like I said, this guy has it all. The only thing is he might not have the greatest arm, but that's why, he plays first base. I know people don't really like the statistic UZR, which I believe is mainly like bases your range, and is a statistic that focuses more on your ability to get balls to your right and left. He had a great UZR. He posted 8.8 last season, which is pretty damn good. So he's a really good all-around fielder and a great slugger at the plate. Now, a bunch of you are probably wondering why the Twins would make this trade and why the Diamondbacks would agree to this trade. Let me tell you why. From a Twins perspective, they need a right-handed bat badly. They lost Correa. They're likely not going to get him back. Whatever you think about that situation, he's likely not coming back. We miss having Nelson Cruz, CJ Cron. We're going to miss even having Gio Urshela. Even guys like Jonathan Schoop. I mean, it's perfect comparison. You need those veteran right-handed sluggers in the lineup, and this would be a really good ad for just that point alone. You might think, well, what about Arraez? What about Miranda? Well, Miranda's going to go to third, we think, and this allows Arraez to be the full-time DH utility man with Gordon. Because if you have Walker at first base most of the year, you're going to have him off his feet once or twice here and there. That's Arraez, that's Miranda. You're going to need days off for Miranda at third. You're going to need days off at short, which is going to move Polanco there. You're going to need Arraez to go to second. So it's going to allow a lot of pieces to move, and it's not going to disrupt the core. It's not going to disrupt the flow of the roster, if that makes sense. They'll be able to platoon perfectly, I think. It'll be like having a DH first baseman, Nelson Cruz, again. I'm going to keep going back to that because this guy has that kind of power. But again, Minnesota could also use the infield defense help. They struggled really badly last year in defense on the infield. As much as you think Correa and Urshela were good, according to the numbers, they weren't that good. Arraez finished in the nominations for Gold Glove, but everybody kind of knows the first base nominations were kind of a joke. So they really needed to improve with the infield defense, and they did that with Vasquez. I think that would be huge if they got Walker for that reason as well, for defense. So, yeah, aside from the bat, the defense, the right-handed hitting, I think Arizona also has reason to trade Walker away. First of all, Arizona is a very young team. They have a lot of rising outfield stars, a lot of young players they're still waiting to see. So they can't really afford to hang on to a lot of old, aging players. Unless they really think they have to. I personally think they don't need a guy like a 32-year-old first baseman. They have players who can substitute at first. And, when you have a few veterans like, Nick Ahmed and Madison Bumgarner, I think you would rather keep those types of guys than an aging first baseman. That's just kind of how I look at it. He's only going to get more expensive the more he hits. He's got 2 more years of control, so I don't know if Arizona wants to throw another 10, 15 million at him in the next few years. And also, they just got Lourdes Gurriel, so they've really shored up their hitting for sure. So they can afford to lose Walker, in my opinion. And I think in terms of getting something in return, the Twins have a lot they could give up. So if the Arizona Diamondbacks wanted a pitcher, the Twins have loads of young pitching. They have Winder, Louis Varland, Balazovic, SWR. even recent guys like Prelup, the guy they just got in the draft. I would even go as far as Marco Raya, one of their really good young up-and-coming prospect arms. Whatever they're looking for. If they're looking for a hitter, I don't know if you give up Brooks Lee. I don't know if he's Christian Walker is good enough for Brooks Lee, but I really wouldn't have a problem trading Julian, Matt Wallner, maybe even throwing in Rodriguez. So if you take all those guys I just named, maybe come up with some package that Arizona would be in favor of, I think you have to pull the trigger. I think you need to find some sort of right-handed bat this offseason before it's too late. There's a lot of teams looking to compete this offseason. There's not a lot of selling teams, so it'll be hard to convince Arizona to get rid of him. But at the same time, I think if you come forward with some things that they're looking for, I really think there's some room in the middle, and it could work out for both teams. But yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know, let me know what you think about this idea. If the Twins could pull it off, if the Diamondbacks would just say no completely, they would turn their back on this offer or on this idea. Let me know. Let me know what you think. And if you're liking what you're hearing from us on the podcast, hit that subscribe button. And follow us on Twitter at the Hot Corner Pod. And have a good one.